This video will look at the structures and functions of the nervous system. The nervous system starts out as a long, hollow tube. Then, 3 weeks after conception, cells making up the tube start to differentiate into neurons. These neurons begin to develop into 3 major parts of the brain: the hindbrain, the midbrain, and the forebrain. The hindbrain is the lowest portion of the brain and the oldest part of the brain evolutionarily. The medulla helps in controlling breathing and heart rate. It also regulates our other internal reflexes. The cerebellum plays an important role in motor coordination. For example, it controls leg and arm movement. The pons is involved in sleep and arousal. The brainstem, the oldest part of the brain, includes much of the hindbrain except the cerebellum and the midbrain. The brainstem determines alertness and regulates activity that is basic for survival, such as breathing, heart rate, and blood pressure. The midbrain is located between the hindbrain and the forebrain. It communicates information between the brain and the eyes and ears. The reticular formation is involved in walking, sleeping, or tuning attention to sudden noise. It uses the neurotransmitters serotonin, dopamine, and norepinephrine. The forebrain is the brain's largest division and its most forward part. The most important structures are the limbic system, the thalamus, the basal ganglia, and the hypothalamus. The limbic system is important in both memory and emotion. The amygdala is somewhat like an awareness center. It fires selectively at the sight of appropriate food, mates, and social rivals. The amygdala is also involved in emotional awareness and expression. It is the brain's emotional center. The hippocampus is involved in the formation and storage of memory. People who have hippocampal damage cannot retain new memories after the damage. The thalamus is the brain's relay center. An important function of the thalamus is to sort through information and send it to the appropriate place in the forebrain for further integration and interpretation. The basal ganglia works with the cerebellum and the cerebral cortex in coordinating voluntary movement. The hypothalamus monitors eating, drinking, and sexual behavior, along with emotions and stress, and it works closely with the endocrine system. The cerebral cortex, the outermost layer of the brain, controls some of the highest mental functions, such as thinking and planning. The neocortex, the outermost part of the brain, makes up 80% of the cerebral cortex. The cerebral cortex is divided into 2 hemispheres. Each hemisphere is then divided into 4 lobes: the occipital lobe, the temporal lobe, the frontal lobe, and the parietal lobe. The occipital lobe is located in the back of the head and responds to visual stimuli. The temporal lobes are just above the ear and are involved in hearing, language processing, and memory. The frontal lobes, behind the forehead, are involved in the control of voluntary muscles, intelligence, and personality. The prefrontal cortex, an important part of the frontal lobe, is at the front of the motor cortex. It is involved in higher cognitive functions such as planning, reasoning, and self-control. The parietal lobe, located at the top and towards the rear of the head, involves registering spatial location, attention, and motor control. It's important to note that no 2 brains are exactly alike, and the function of each of the lobes may differ slightly across individuals. The somatosensory cortex processes information about body sensation. The motor cortex processes information about voluntary movement. The association cortex processes information about sensory input and motor output. It is also involved in thinking and problem solving. Aphasia is a language disorder associated with brain damage. Damage to Broca's area causes a person to have difficulty in speaking a language. Damage to vernix area causes problems in language comprehension. The corpus callosum is a bundle of axons that connects the left and right hemispheres of the brain. If it is severed, the two hemispheres can no longer communicate with one another. There is considerable integration of function between different areas in the brain. When information or stimuli is noticed, the information gets sent to the correct area of the brain where it is processed and then sent out of the brain to the correct area of the body. Along the way, from the beginning to the end, the information goes through various areas of the brain, and all the areas work together to have that information processed. Another system in the body that works to regulate behavior is the endocrine system. It consists of glands that regulate certain organs by releasing their chemical products into the bloodstream. Glands are organs or tissues in the body that create chemicals that control many bodily functions. Hormones are chemical messengers that are manufactured by the endocrine system. The pituitary gland involves growth and regulates other glands as well. The adrenal glands are involved in regulating mood, energy level, and the ability to cope with stress. The adrenal glands secrete both epinephrine and neuroepinephrine. The pancreas is involved in the digestive and endocrine functioning. It secretes insulin, which controls blood sugar, which itself is implicated in metabolism, weight, and obesity. The ovaries in females and the testes in males are involved in sexual development, reproduction, and sexual characteristics. In the next video, we will discuss brain damage, plasticity, and repair.